Recording in progress.
Can you call the roll, please?
Lee,
Present.
Catherine,
Present.
Margaret, Scott,
Present.
Christina, absent. Jerry,
Present.
Bonnie, absent, and Igor, absent.
Thank you. We have for us this evening, public hearing for proposed minor subdivision, the estate of Linda Havlock and Tiffany Avery Baumgardner. It's map lot 119-0011. I have a completed application in front of me with fees of $388.24 duly paid. Notices have been sent out to abutters and we received back all of the verifications that they were received with the exception of the state of New Hampshire. So we can proceed. Who is here to represent?
That would be moved.
Thank you. Would you please introduce yourself and your relationship?
I'm a surveyor and I'm working for Tiffany Baumgardner, who is actually the owner of this. It still shows on the records as Linda Havlock also is on your records, but Linda passed away 2013, I think it was. And so everything has transferred through either deed or will to Tiffany at this point. What she did on it. So if I may, I'll come over to and hand up some plan copies. For the record, I don't really one. I don't know if I said that already, but
And you can speak up just a little bit to make sure that everyone on the video and in the room can hear you.
TV days, whether we like it or not. Share this.
Yeah.
Judy's not here to kick me either.
we submitted plans with the application, of course. And this is essentially the same plan that we're looking at that you have already. There are a couple of very minor differences. I suspect that the first one that was put in, which I was not really involved with, Steve took care of that part, but I suspect we did not have a state subdivision approval at that point, which we now have for lot one only, because the other lot is obviously in the 40-acre range. So, and the other thing is we worded the last note on the bottom. I'll just draw your attention to that. But if I may, essentially there was about 43 acres, and the idea was initially to sell the whole property as one, and that evolved into somebody wanting the woodlands but not wanting the house, which brought us to the stage of carving off 1.5 acres around the house, and the rest of it being still in wildland at this point. The other thing that has happened, there are driveways, obviously paved driveways that are going into, excuse my back,
That's okay.
into the house that's there now. And there was a gravel driveway that went into what used to be Grove Wood Yard, which is now going to be on the residual land. That was not a permitted driveway. It was permitted temporarily for logging purpose. But we now have a state permit for a full-time, access to this one right here. Going
Into the log yard.
yeah, on lot two for the lot. That'll be a possible access for lot two and approved access for lot two. Presumably that's what they're going to use to go in there. That's the intent.
Oh, that's John. I see. Is that John DeRosa's plans right there?
No, this is all.
My septic.
You lost.
I'm lost.
Okay. Linda Havlock's house is on this piece.
Okay, yeah.
Her house.
Oh, yeah, and that's up behind to the left. Okay.
And see, this goes all the way up to the National
All right,
Forest.
I got it. Yeah, I got it now.
This used to be Bob Stoller and
Yep.
Rex over there.
Up top. Yep.
Woodstock Reservoirs up near this.
Yep,
Woodstock
I got it.
next to that.
I got it now.
Okay. The other thing I'll just point out, there's a little tiny square we show in the relative location of the overview plan, let's call it. And that's actually just a little 10-foot by 10-foot piece of land that was deeded out as a spring of water and 10 feet of land around it to the folks on the other side of the road. And You show it on your tax map as owner unknown, but the title actually goes to Issue Properties, which is the motor pool on the other side, or the trailer park, if you will, mobile home park. So we show it, it's more or less supposedly in that location. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if it's underneath where the road is now. That's really what I think. But I went up and I could not find it. So I don't think there's anything that exists. And there's no, when they redid the roads in the 30s, they showed no pipeline or anything crossing the road. So by the time they did that, it was gone. So the only other thing is item 19 or note 19 talks about there was a lease arrangement given to the town of Woodstock by Linda and her husband at the time back in 1995, and that was so the town could erect a chlorinator plant for the water supply for municipal water supply for Woodstock. That has been removed and long gone, like 20 years ago. I came to the board of selectmen, Tiffany's behalf, quite a little while ago, and they decided they had no use for that anymore, as it was only, the use was for a chlorinator plant, and of course, long gone. So there are, at this point, to my knowledge, it has not been finalized. In order to possibly give away a public asset, town council recommended they go through the hearing process for the select board, the conservation commission, and the planning board. Okay, so to my knowledge, it hasn't been completed yet. But the obvious intent is to make this go away. And the funny thing is, Tiffany could have actually given the town a letter as long, and 60 days later, the whole thing would have been gone. And we could have recorded the letter and we wouldn't have go through the public hearing process. But I thought it was cleaner to do it the way we did it. So it's out there, and it has, as far as I can see, it's no value to anybody. It's just a nuisance. But it does show up in the chain of title. Normally those type of things are not recorded. This one was. That's why I wanted to clear it up, clean it up.
I recall that in a previous meeting, last meeting or the meeting before, that we did something with that lease and the chlorinator land. And it's not, I wasn't expecting to be thinking about that right now, so I didn't put it on the front of my mind, but I thought Mike Welch presented something on that for us.
No, there was.
That was at the last meeting, and it was just information that he provided.
Okay, it was just
Said the
providing
same
that.
thing Roy is.
Gotcha, all right.
And we voted to get rid of it at the selectmen's meeting as well. So.
And I think Conservation Commission by council, they were supposed to sign off on it also, I believe. So the note says the town's in the process of helping us to clean that up. And so it puts anybody on notice that there is still technically an issue, although it doesn't happen. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But we do have, as I say, the state permits for driveways and subdivision. And lot 2 doesn't need anything other than the driveway permit.
Do any of the board members have questions?
I don't.
Do any members of the public have questions?
Pretty simple. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry.
Actually, out of curiosity, you mentioned the letting go of a public asset to private hands. Was that area regarding the chlorinator? There's that old reservoir with the body of water. Is that what this is about? Pardon me if I got lost there.
No, the old reservoir is still up there.
That's right,
obviously. And there are pipeline rights that the town has that was deeded along with the reservoir deed back in the very early 1900s. Those pipeline rights still exist.
I see.
And there is a water pipeline buried that still comes from there to Route 3.
We still have access to that water.
Correct.
Yeah.
This other thing, the lease itself was just for the erection of the chlorinator
Of the plant itself.
processing.
I see, yes, gotcha.
And it would have been tied into that same pipeline. obviously.
That was when we used to have like little orange worms in the water. Back 25 years ago. I remember that 35 years ago. It's pretty awful.
It was an iron mine not far from that.
Oh, really? Because that's why it was on that part.
Not far from that reservoir.
Yeah, and it's, yeah. Ooh.
Oh, my.
No further questions from us. Unless anybody else does.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept the subdivision as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Right, would you like to call the vote, Kathy?
Margaret,
You should call me last.
I'm sorry. Lee,
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Margaret.
Yes.
The other request, if I may, in the past, the town has allowed me to take the Mylar to the registry of deeds and record it. My understanding is that they have a schedule closing on Friday for one of the two properties. And perhaps both, but at least one, I'm pretty sure. So the best way to make everything happen would be for you to allow me to take that to the registry tomorrow, put the thing on record.
Sure.
And I will just pay for that, and it will be included in your fees, but we're not worried about that, we just want to get it put on record so that the closing can happen.
You need a motion for that, Margaret?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's have a motion for Margaret to sign it. Or record it.
Right, I'll second that.
I do have a felt camera.
Did you get that motion, Kathy?
Scott made the motion and Lee seconded.
Yes.
Mhm.
We're doing it. Roll on it, too.
Yeah.
Let's see, Catherine,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
and Margaret.
Yes. Okay. That's signed. I'm gonna need somebody to help me pull it.
You need that back?
We just roll.
Yes, please.
Okay.
That was the roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on up and get it.
I appreciate it, the family appreciates it very much, helping us out with this,
Do you,
in order to get a check to the town and mail it.
actually, it's right here. This is the L-shirt.
Oh, you do have-
Normally goes with that, so.
Okay. Wonderful. Very, didn't expect that. Thank you.
We've become a little bit more efficient.
That's never a bad thing.
Margaret was got that, I have.
Yeah. The further away you get away. from
That's
that,
right.
the table.
That's all you need, I presume.
That's all. we need.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Will there be a spare one around? It would be, I'd take one back.
What?
Sign the plan.
You can sign, we don't have a Mylar, we can sign with these, right?
Yeah, well, this is fine, but if you need 6 copies, don't worry.
I don't think so. I don't usually need 2,
Bye.
5, 5.
How many you got there? 3? 4, 5?
Yeah, you brought 6. If we can keep 5, we're okay. You need it signed?
I would like that signed.
Either that, yeah. So for the short one, he could drop off another one, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I could just have the one that, with the blank, and that would be very nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your consideration and cooperation.
Thank you for making it very clear. Yes.
I don't remember what point.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
How's Thanksgiving?
Excuse me?
How's Terry doing?
Oh, not the same.
Tell him when he's for the church.
Moving forward. We have, several sets of minutes for approval. From September 11th, October 16th, October 18th. Would you like to Sorry,
I wasn't here for the last,
Okay.
like,
so we should approve them separately then,
I don't know.
yeah. Can I, hear a motion for the September 11th meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Lee,
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and Margaret.
Yes. Okay. Okay, that is it.
I'll make that motion as well.
I'll second it. I'll second it. I'll third it.
Okay, Lee.
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Scott,
Abstain.
Jerry,
Yes.
and Margaret.
Yes. And October 18th for the excavation pit visits.
I'll make that motion.
I didn't go, so I.
Oh, I'll second.
Lee,
Yes.
Scott,
Abstain.
Jerry,
Yes.
Margaret,
Yes.
and Catherine.
Abstain. And we need to look at that one again.
Yep.
Do we have a selectmen's report?
And really, just set the tax rate, we did a few other things. Things moving along quite, budget season right now, so we've been working on the budgets. Nothing too exciting. Everything's going up, no. So town's going down a little bit, actually. But other things are going up, so.
Thank you. We have some correspondence received. We had, a large packet of information received from John Kimball. I admit that I need more time to read through this. Do other board members have questions or comments about the?
I also need more time to dive into it. I've read a lot of it, but I don't feel I have a whole enough knowledge
Yes.
yet.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
quite, yeah, it's a lot, it's a lot.
So at this point, what I'll say then is, well, thank you, John, for passing all of this information on to us. And I'm gonna defer discussion of it to our next meeting when we've all had a chance to read it thoroughly.
See if he has anything additional to add to it.
I bet he does. No. I'm just kidding.
No, it's just information that over time observing the board's actions and things like that. What I thought were commitments or agreements, you folks need to work out amongst yourselves because the board composition has changed. And it's important for the new members to fully understand what their roles, obligations, and things are. And granted, there's some legacy issues out there that you can't necessarily go back, but you can't ignore them.
We also received a blasting notice from Potter Construction. Do you have to have a copy in front of you?
Is it over there? You know, I saw it was on Facebook too, and it's on. Town posting was not what that's not.
I don't think I have a copy over here.
I know you had emailed it to me. Yeah, if you give me just a moment, I can find it together. That one. don't see it.
Lot dollars or just?
We went out to the town. We got to read it.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me. So I'm not in a position to comment on it. I thought it was in the packet and I'm looking at the packet in front of me and I don't have it, so I apologize for that.
I know I've seen it a couple times somewhere.
That's some of these things. Let's improve. Yeah, and we can come back to it. If you can find a copy of it, I'll write it down. I'm gonna move on to any other business at this point. We have on our list to review the rules of procedure. And the rules of procedure have been sent out to all of the board members. Do any of you have questions or comments on them, having looked at what was sent earlier?
Not really. That seemed fine. Nothing's really changed that. I don't think on it.
Well, the one thing that has changed is the time of our meeting.
Right.
The good news on that, it says or posted times and we can post them correctly, so.
Right.
But yeah, that could use to be changed.
One thing, it still says on the town website that we meet at 6.
Correct.
So I was gonna mention that too. I looked at that today, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should get that correct.
On the planning board part, it says it's right, but on the website itself, it says 6.
That's the one.
Is there anything that you saw on them, Margaret? In the rules of procedure?
There were a couple of things that I noticed that, one of the things that I noticed was the copy we sent out hasn't been signed. And I'm not sure whether we have a signed copy currently on the website, but we should take a look at that. And if not, we should make sure that we get one.
Okay.
So reviewing them at this stage is probably a good idea. And I would suggest that we maybe appoint a subcommittee to take a second look at these and make sure that everything remains accurate. There were a couple of points where I noticed that we may not have always been acting according to the rules of procedure. For example, in meetings, questions should always be directed to the chair and not amongst members of the public or amongst board members to each other.
Bonnie's been trying to direct that to me. I know in some of the meetings that we've had in the past, so we can just be more focused on that.
So, and that's something that all of us going forward can try to make a point of being more respectful to Bonnie also as we conduct our discussions. There was another point that I noticed that we need to be careful also in how we conduct delivery of information outside of our meetings to make sure that we're not discussing things over email. Because any information that becomes a meeting or becomes a discussion among a quorum of our members needs to be done in front of the public.
But a subcommittee can meet.
And if a subcommittee meets, that needs to also be noticed to the public. So we can't just have an informal subcommittee meeting without actually posting a notice for it. And I think we've done that a few times as well. So we need to be a bit more careful about that. Those were the few points I noticed where we could tighten things up a little bit.
Agreed.
I don't think it should be changed. I think we just need to be better.
Right, better
Better at following the
execution.
Right. Would any of you be interested in being part of a subcommittee to look through the rules of procedure and just make sure that they're accurate and bring them to us clean to sign for posting?
Yeah. Be part of the committee.
Great. Would someone like to work with Jerry?
I'll work with Jerry.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. The next step is the process for adopting the subdivision regulation. We looked into that one area of contention where it looked like there was a loophole that a minor subdivision, the way that it was written in the language, could be considered to potentially include more than 3 properties if there was a pre-existing road. And Bonnie brought that to her legal consultants and at the state, and they said, yes, absolutely, you need to tighten up that wording so that it can't be considered a loophole, because that would not be a minor subdivision. So we'll need to correct the wording on that one. And there were a couple other places we had noticed some things that we wanted to tighten up the wording to avoid ambiguity and to have everything flow correctly. So there's a little bit of wording adjustment that needs to be done to finalize the regulation. And then we would like to have our legal counsel look through it one more time to make sure that we haven't adjusted the legality of any of it. The next step after that would be to bring it before this board in a public hearing so that the public can also see the regulation and be allowed to make comments or ask questions about it. And after that, it would be adopted. So that would be the procedure. I'm part of the committee, the subcommittee involved in the regulations, and I would be happy to have someone work with me to complete the review of it, just to make sure having a second pair of eyes is always valuable.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, I'd appreciate that, Lee.
And we're squaring away, what is a subdivision?
That was part, right?
Yeah, that's
Exactly. and
Clearly.
make sure that
clearly,
going forward,
Yes.
that we're fairly and consistently applying the definition of subdivision. And then, our next steps would be to, our next steps in applying for the community rating system. We've been invited by, the Office of Planning and Development to be part of their local committee that includes towns that are part of the community rating system, and they have a meeting that's going to be coming up fairly soon that they're inviting us to. So members of the planning board, members of the conservation commission, and members of the floodplain board will all be taking part in that. And from that step forward, we'll be able to complete our application and join the community rating system, which will allow us to start reducing rates for floodplain insurance. Our budget, during the last couple of meetings, we had some discussion about budget, and there were 2 considerations that we had in bringing the budget forward. One is make sure that our secretary is paid fairly. And the second one is wanting to maintain our budget as close as possible to 2023 levels. In a non-public session, we reviewed this a little bit more detail and finalized a budget, which is being signed today and presented so that we can move forward. And I just wanted to put that to rest so that we have it in our record. Okay, so we received a blasting notice from Calder Construction, which indicated that blasting will take place from August to October. And we're now in November, so this is complete. Yes,
That's an old one.
that is an old one. Was
I
there
thought
another
that was
one
a new
since
one.
that point?
Yeah, there's been
Three.
three of them.
There've been three of them.
Yes.
Okay.
I knew I saw something just a week or so ago.
Yeah. And Judy's been emailing.
Yeah.
Or calling,
Yes.
sending it to whoever, and it seems to be working quite well.
Great.
And
Are you good with it?
notifying people.
I'd like to comment on that. I've been receiving those emails and they've been excellent. I really appreciate,
Great.
just a heads up so I can be out of the area. Thank you.
Okay, so the system is working now?
Yes.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much for updating us on that. I have not seen those notices myself, so I'm glad to hear that it's working. I'm glad to hear that it's working for you, and I'm glad to hear that it's working for the abutters.
We do more than the 24 hours too. We try to do it, if it's on a Monday, Tuesday, we try to do it on a Friday to give people plenty of notice.
And that is appreciated, believe me.
This is excellent news. Thank you very much. Okay, this brings us to public participation. We have many members of the public here. What are you here to talk to us
Happy
about?
days. Come on.
I think
We were with
Oh,
that
yes.
first item.
this is the minor subdivision.
We're buying the 40 acres.
Oh, great. Oh,
Okay.
congratulations.
So yeah, we just want to thank you.
Yeah. And thanks to Mr. Survey Man for speeding that up for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very considerate.
Well, that's wonderful. You guys.
Yes, great.
My name is Randy Rutherford, and this is Karen. We're on Paradise Road, up at the end of the road. We're interested in subdividing our property, so single lot and splitting into two. And I saw on the website, it said that you can get an informal feedback, and I'm not sure if that's something we can do now, or how I should go about doing that before having the surveyor and doing the formal activity.
This is absolutely the place to do that. You can ask your questions.
Okay, I have some proposed little plot plans and certainly not big Mylar like everybody else.
We're not Mr. Surveyor.
He'll be next.
Yes, yeah. Before we paid him, we wanted to kind of.
It's pretty easy where you are, I think. But we'll look at
I hope so. I only have
Okay.
2 copies of this. and
We
so
can share.
Well, actually, it's 1 copy, really. But what you'll see on the first one is it's just the town map, and that shows where we are. You'll see in yellow,
Yeah.
our lot is highlighted. And that is on the second one, you'll see the lot with the dimensions and the size. It's about a half an acre right now. And for people who've been in the town for a long time, it's called the old Tucker House. So Marion Walsh lived there until 15 years ago or so. We purchased it, and if we can just pass that around. We've had it as a part-time residence, a second home since like 2007 or 8. And these I do have multiple of the and now it's our full-time residence for the last year. And it's rather small house. So we'd like to put a second house on there. If anybody else cares. So the basic idea is if you were to hold it with a flat side of the triangle at the top, and the red line going across it, the house up on the top side of that is the existing house that we have today. And there's a pretty good sized grassy area behind the house on our lot. And so we would like to put a second house there and subdivide that property. What you see is I did try to mark out the setback requirements around. It's not quite a divide 50-50. So I didn't do the exact math, but right now it's about a half an acre. And so one will probably be 0.3 and the other will probably be 0.2. And so that's kind of the basic pitch. I don't know if there's any immediate concerns. If not, I do have a couple of questions that you might be able to help me out about the process and things like that. Any
Get
questions?
survey
or
in the
immediate
end,
feedback? Pardon?
Get survey in the end.
Yeah, and in fact, the house next door where,
Yeah.
at the bottom where you see driveway, that's, property is the Oaks, third generation house. He just surveyed their land 3 weeks ago, so we have surveying stakes around
Most of our property.
most of the property, and then the road is most of the rest, so we'll certainly be engaging him to do real drawings and put posts in and such like that, but otherwise, you know, my take from looking at the maps and such is that the new lot size is still consistent with the other lots in the neighborhood, right? They're all tiny little houses back in there. And this house, we haven't finalized the floor plan yet, but you know, it's probably 1,600 square feet, 2 stories is what we're thinking, yeah.
Well, I think if you do the setbacks and you get a driveway permit from Mike in the town. Right, Ray draw it up, it's pretty
Okay.
liberal where you are.
Mhm.
in that
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
you know.
Well, let me grab my list of questions.
Am I-
Make sure get them all in here. Help, we've got a lot of nice people up on.
Yeah, I know you are. They said they weren't all nice though.
So one thing that worries me a little bit is, there's water, and you'll see that on the little, ones in plastic. You know, there's a little pond on Beaver Brook. It's down a pretty significant embankment. It's not immediately adjacent to our property. It's probably 20 or 30 feet. There's a strip of Oaks property between that slope and us. I'm not sure if that's going to require some kind of state environmental thing. I saw some stuff about DES.
One way that you can check that, if you look on the town website, you can pull up your property on the GIS map
Mhm.
and use the floodplain overlay, and that will. tell
Oh,
you right
yeah,
away.
we're way up
Yeah, yeah.
high, so it's not a flood.
And Roy would
There's
know
also
that too.
Okay.
Yeah, the surveyor would know that too. Yeah, so.
Okay.
There's also a wetlands overlay, and that will tell you. if
Oh,
there's
okay, all right.
Anything there that you need to worry about.
Yeah, I won't have, well, I'll check it. I'm confident I won't have wetlands on the property. My concern is more that there is this little pond. Probably 75 or 100 feet away.
You're well above that pond.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't
yeah.
think it's.
Okay.
I don't think.
Excavation permits. Do I have to do that for a foundation, or is that just for
No.
like if you're doing a big?
You need a building permit
Okay, all right,
after you get the subdivision.
okay,
That will take longer. The subdivision will take longer than the building permit
perfect.
from past experience. So-
Neighbor's house, and on my little diagram there on the leftmost side. I don't have it on my version, but yeah, there's a neighbor's house, and it is very close to our property line. Okay, it's only maybe 5 or 8 feet from the property line, so you know, of course, that's grandfathered in and such.
Right.
My concern is that our new property line, the red line that you see here, would go very close to that house. So it would take one, they're kind of non-conforming with our existing lot, and now it would be non-conforming with both of those because our line would be there. Is that any problem at all? Okay. And then I have a shed, which isn't on here because I didn't measure it out exactly, which is probably within that setback region in between the two properties. And so I don't know if I have to either tear that shed down or move it. It would certainly be on one side or the other, but it would end up implicitly by me drawing this red line down it, it would end up being within the setback region of the line.
Technically, I think you,
We're keeping both properties, by the way.
but
For a while. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
for now, yeah.
so I think the shed. I probably might need to be nudged
Yeah.
a little bit,
technically, if
yeah.
it's in the
Technically,
setback,
yeah.
setback, you would have. to
For anything
move it.
new,
Is there a variance that I could get? for that?
unlikely. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
variances. It's possible for sure, but I think, we seldom do variances just because the old stories, we don't have that many rules.
That would be something you might want to talk to the surveyor about.
And that would be a selectment issue for variance. You know, versus.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
For variance from rules, yes.
I would have thought it was a planning board variance, but it's something about selectmen.
It always has been, as far as when you get a building permit or anything
Yeah,
like that.
once we've given you the.
Actually, maybe this would be a planning board if you're gonna.
It's
Well,
just the
let a
building's there,
subdivision-
it's a subdivision.
Yeah, if you're gonna, it'd be a variance if it was a new building being put closer.
Yeah,
So this probably would be planning board because you'd be trying to get permission.
yeah.
And so to be clear,
If-
you know,
if
for
the
us, it's
shed
a minor
was
thing,
part
it's
of
just,
The conversation about the subdivision, it would be a planning board issue.
Right,
If the shed was part of the conversation about the building permit, it would be a.
it's selectmen's
selectmen
issue, so I was
issue.
wrong there.
okay, all right. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we go through the formal one. I think I'm going to ask for a variance at that time, and you know, the rationale is, although again, it's not on that picture. It's pretty close to that house that's there that is too close on the other side. And it's been there since we moved in, you know, 15 or 16 years ago. I'm not sure how long before that, but so it's an existing structure for a long time.
Yeah, Roy would be your best bet.
But, you know,
Giving you information.
yeah, I think, yeah, he would be your best bet, but
Yeah, I think he'd be able to tell me, yeah, it's too close to the line.
I think he's.
I think
gonna
it's
say-
you guys that would have to say, yes, can you do a variance or not? Let's see, and then, so I'll engage with the surveyor. Is there anything else I should be doing before engaging with him? I understand that he's got a lot of work and he's backed up. It's going to take a while to get through that, but any other things that you'd recommend that we do before doing that?
No, you have to do water and sewer.
Yeah, it's on the
But
street
that'd be
there.
after you get this done, so that be down the road.
Okay.
And we have enough water and sewer, so that's not an issue.
And then I saw that I have to notify all the butters or identify all the butters within 200 feet, I think.
Yeah, that'll be something.
Roy does that,
Yeah.
okay.
He would handle all that stuff.
And then.
We're not saying you have to use Roy, but it's just.
Mhm. And then 90 days, is that how long we're going to have to do the formal notification, right? And a formal version of this.
It'll be a hearing much like what you heard at the
Mhm.
beginning of tonight's meeting.
Yeah, I was wondering how far in advance I have to have all that paperwork in to have that hearing. We're trying to do this winter time so we can.
So do you want to- No, I don't think so.
I'm the one that.
The hearing is scheduled within 90 days of your application.
So I think that's the max, right? And then there's probably how long ahead of time we have to formally notify the butters and get it posted.
We haven't done this before, so.
Yeah, in case. you can't,
Any information is helpful.
I'm not positive. I thought it was 30 days, but I'm not positive.
So notices have to be mailed out at least 10 days before the hearing.
Okay. All right,
So
well, we will engage with the surveyor and get that thing rolling, and we'll see you in a couple of months. Thank you.
Good luck. You're welcome. Thank you.
is there anything else from the public? The board members have any other business to bring before us?
I can't remember how to hold these.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, do you remember?